Empty classroom. It all started in early October, when St. Andrew's School in the tiny town of Old Creek celebrated its 100th anniversary. The oldest building on campus, built in 1923, hadn't changed much. Creaky floors, flickering lights, mold creeping up the corners. Everyone knew you didn't go into the basement. Especially not room 17, locked up since the 1970s. Whispers floated around the school like smoke. A teacher died down there, the older kids said. No, it was a murder, others insisted. Jessica, Kyle, and Nate, three best friends, didn't believe in ghost stories. They decided to find out what was really behind the door of room 17, while everyone else was busy setting up the anniversary fair in the gym. They crept down the basement stairs, their phone flashlights slicing through the heavy darkness. The door was battered, the paint peeling. The number 17 barely clung to the surface. Kyle grabbed the handle, locked. "Wait, look," Nate whispered, crouching down. The lock was rusted through, barely holding. A few minutes of prying with a pocket knife, and the door creaked open. Inside, the air smelled of moldy paper, damp wood, and something metallic. The room was abandoned, dust and decay in every corner. A single old desk sat in the middle, surrounded by faded posters from another era. On the blackboard, someone had wiped away the dust and scratched a chilling warning. "Do not wake her." "Her who?" Jessica whispered, clutching Nate's arm. In the far corner stood an old doll, almost life-sized, dressed in a faded school uniform from the early 1900s. Its glass eyes gleamed in the beam of Nate's flashlight, too sharp, too real. "That's creepy as hell," Kyle muttered. "Let's get out of here." But before they could leave, the door slammed shut behind them, hard. Their phones flickered and went out. In the suffocating darkness, they heard the first whisper. A woman's voice. Software mocking.
"Why have you come?"
Part 2. First signs. The room turned ice cold, breath freezing in the air. They rushed to the door, banging and kicking, but it wouldn't budge, like something heavy pressed it shut from the other side. Kyle cursed, pounding his fists. Jessica sobbed. Nate spun around, lighting every shadow he could. The doll. It wasn't where it had been. It was closer. Standing almost in the center of the room now, head tilted, almost smiling. "It's just our imagination," Kyle stammered, not believing himself. "It's just the wind, or water damage, warped wood." But deep down, he knew better. The whisper came again, slipping under the door, curling around them like smoke. "You'll stay and play with me." Jessica clutched Nate's sleeve so tightly her nails dug into his skin. A metallic crash made them jump. A nameplate had fallen from the wall. Faculty, 1952 to 1973. Among the yellowed faces was a woman with a stern, twisted smile. Underneath it read, "Miss May Lawrence." Nate's voice was barely a breath. "I heard about her. They said she was strange. Kids started disappearing. And then they found her. Hung by her own belt. Right here, in this room." The doll had moved again. Closer. The air smelled sharp now, like copper and rot. Scratching sounds scraped along the door behind them. Long, slow nails across wood. Kyle threw himself against the door one last time. It gave way with a screeching crack, and they bolted up the stairs, not daring to look back. They laughed when they reached the daylight, shaky with relief. Maybe it was over. Maybe it was just the dark playing tricks on them. They were wrong. The next day, Kyle didn't show up to school. Jessica visited his house after classes. The front door was open. The house was silent. She found Kyle lying at the bottom of the staircase, eyes wide open, frozen in terror. His skin was scratched, small marks everywhere, as if tiny sharp nails had torn at him. Written in the dust beside him, a message. Now you're mine. The police ruled it a heart attack. 16 years old. No history of illness. Everyone whispered, confused. Only Jessica and Nate knew the truth. And that night, as Jessica lay in bed, she heard it. A familiar whisper, dripping with cold sweetness. Now it's your turn. She knew then. It was already too late.
Whispers from the Basement. Ethan's story.
Have you ever heard someone call your name when you're absolutely home alone? My name is Ethan, and this happened to me when I was 19. My parents had gone away for the summer and I stayed behind in our old house, alone. The house had a basement, old, sealed, never used. My mom always said, "Don't open that door, Ethan. Leave it shut." At first, I didn't care. I mean, why would I? But then, on the second week, I heard it. A voice calling me. "Ethan, come down." A whisper, low, coming from behind the basement door. I froze, stared at the door. It was pitch black underneath. The next night, again, footsteps, scratching. Then a whisper. "Ethan, are you home?" I tried blocking the door, hammered nails, moved a shelf in front of it. But the next morning, the shelf was pushed aside. Nails pulled out. Someone had come out. By the fourth night, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed a flashlight and a knife. I opened the door and stepped down. The basement swallowed the light. Each stair creaked. The air felt cold, wrong, heavy. And then, behind me, footsteps, software, barefoot, slow. I turned around. Nothing. And then, right in my ear, "You came. Home." I ran up the stairs, but the steps kept stretching, endless, like the basement didn't want to let me go. It didn't feel like my house anymore. The walls, the air, even gravity felt different. And then, nothing. I blacked out. Next thing I knew, I woke up in my room. On the floor, shaking. The basement door was shut, but on my arm, deep, fresh scratches. And right by the door, something was carved into the wood. "You'll be back, Ethan." I moved out 2 days later. The house was demolished not long after. But during the teardown, they found something. Another basement. No doors, no windows, just concrete walls covered in names. Mine was one of them. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And remember, not every door leads somewhere you can return from.